Hey, in this video we go on quite the adventure. We build a grid charger out of LED drivers. We start grid charging this in the car, do it a few times, figure out it's not working, then we remove the battery, then we just dissect the battery, we pull out sticks, we discover that 7 cells were installed backwards, and that's why the anomalous readings were happening when I was attempting to grid charge and discharge. Then we go do some stick level measurements, and then I reassemble this thing and start grid charging again. This time the sticks are in the right way. But anyways, there are timestamps. You can find them in the description below the video. Help yourself out, because this might get a little bit long. Hey, welcome back. This is part 2 of bringing this Honda Insight back from the dead, parked for 5 years. It was parked because the IMA, the hybrid system, wasn't functional and the car wouldn't start, and for whatever reason it wouldn't switch over to the auxiliary starter, and it became such a headache that they just parked it. Worried about different times. So I bought it, and now we're going to see about testing this battery pack. Alright, so what the plan is I have bought a couple, I saw this online, I bought a couple LED drivers that are 100 volts each. Then they supply 350 milliwatts, and so you put them in you put them in a series, and then you get a 200 volt power supply that supplies 350 milliwatts, and that's more or less in line with what a grid charger is. And so that's how that's going to be my first move on this car, is we're going to build a wiring harness, hook it to the battery, hook it to a power supply, and just see if it'll charge up or not, or if there's like a dead cell or something. Alright, so I'm using these Meanwell APC 35 350s, and their output is 100 volts with a max of 350 milliamps. So first thing is there's no instructions anywhere, so I looked up a wiring diagram for it. So the brown wire is the AC voltage live hot wire, and the blue is the AC voltage neutral wire. So I'm just gonna write that in Sharpie so I don't forget. So I just wrote down everything on the back just to keep myself out of trouble from getting confused. So real quick, just to remind everybody, the small plug on your outlet is the positive side, and the bigger one is the neutral, and of course the ground is a little circle one, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use an extension cord, just a little flat one, because it's not drawing much power at all, just so it'll be easy to get it where I can shut the back hatch or whatever. So let's just cut off the plug-in part. You see there's a little one, which will be the positive, and a bigger one, there'll be the neutral. Straighten that out a bit. So I got my multimeter set up for continuity, so I'm going to just figure out which one of these is going to be positive by positive. Alright, so that's the positive, and that one's not. So this is positive. I'm going to go ahead and strip it, but don't forget, and then I'll double check, make sure I haven't fumbled it in any way. So then with these, again, brown is hot, so I'm going to take these, and those will be my hot ones, the brown. On this one, I couldn't find instructions for it. This is the the 12 volt power supply of at least 1 amp to run the fan, but I'm just going to assume that this is positive. So I'm going to go ahead and expose just a tiny bit more wire. And the reason why I'm assuming that is everything else is oriented that way, so I'm just gonna believe. And if I blow it up, I got another one, and I'll be able to reverse engineer my lesson here. And this is just going to be a temporary job until I build something more proper. So we're going to take the brown, the positive, and what I hope is the positive over here. We're just going to twist it up with a wire tie. Let's see. Yep, everything's connected. Then we're going to do the same for the negative or the neutral. So the AC side is done. Now we're just going to do a series connection, a positive to negative, and then we're going to have the negative coming out of one and the positive coming out of the other. So let's just twist those together. Okay. Then we have these. I don't want to short this out and ruin these things, so I'm going to try to be careful with how I test this just to see if it makes the voltage I'm looking for. God, I'm on a metal table. Alright, let's plug this in. And we're going to set the multimeter to DC voltage. We'll touch that one. We'll touch this one. We're getting 200.5 volts DC. And then over here, let's see if this one's working. We'll touch these two, and we're getting 12.07 volts DC. So seems like this part is good to go. So let's open up the truck. Let's open up the Insight now and see about making a wiring harness for that end. All right, so back here, we just got to get to the battery. So let's extract the carpet. We can remove the entire carpet. Yeah, nice. Then let's take out the cubby hole. I'm just going to start taking this apart. It's going to take a minute, and some of it uses T30s and some of it is 10 millimeter. And somebody has labeled all these, which ones were Torx and which ones were 10 millimeter. So I don't even have to keep up with that. That's cool. I think I got everything loose. So let's just try real quick. Let me fuss a little bit more. I got this loose, and then this whole thing feels loose now. Oh Lord, they've disconnected everything. Okay, this is going to take a little bit of reverse engineering maybe. This has been cut and spliced. So this car had a grid charger already. And then when he took it to the shop, they kept it for months, claimed that they were going to fix it. It didn't fix it. And he said he knew instantly it hadn't fixed it because everything had just gone to hell, right? As soon as he drove it off. And so blah, 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 blah. Long story short, look at the condition we're in. By the, you know, all the stuff they claimed to replaced, they just disconnected it all. And good God, there's just all these rat nest of wires and ports, and oh, this is exactly what I was afraid to see. A bunch of half-ass shit. What do we have here? Okay, so yeah, this is the grid charger cable, so that's already connected over there, so that's gonna save me some effort. Oh God, I gotta think for a minute, y'all. Let me show you this book, Honda Insight. So I don't know if some of y'all are familiar with these projects, but I think his name was Sam Sharp. He his son married the daughter of the guy who owned this previously, and he got Dennis into Insights, and I think that was his car, and I think he bought this from some guy who built it over there at ecomodders.com. There is a receipt here. Let's find the damn receipt. That states they replaced the hybrid control module and battery packs, used eBay parts, no warranty. The total invoice was $624. It's because of the work that they did that the car cost what it did, because he was just trying to recoup some of his investment in it. But these guys, I'm not so convinced. I like the quality of work they did. For one, you know, I mean, just getting into it, every single one of these bolts was just tight as hell. That reminds me, when I worked in the shop, the people who would really hammer the hell out of small things like this to the point of distorting washers was always like the young kid, the new young buck who's still trying to figure out his, you know, ass from a hole in the ground, and he just invested some money in tools and he's just overly excited to use them. But I can let that slide. The rat nest, let me zoom. You see that rat nest there of repairs? Like, I don't know, maybe they ordered a hybrid control module which was the wrong one, and from a different year, maybe. Like, this is all speculation, but the plugs might have been slightly different, and that's why they rat fucked it like that. Like, I don't know. It just seems ridiculous to me. And then when they couldn't fix it, they just unplugged everything and gave it back and hoped it would charge the battery for them, I guess. So I don't know. Anyways, I'm gonna probe around this wiring harness down here and see if the charge leads to the battery or hooked up, and I just see if there's any charge in the battery. That's my plan. Okay, only 2 of the lead wires have voltage, and it's only showing 5 volts. So either the battery is completely discharged or it's hooked up in the wrong place. Okay, so I've restored the fan power. I'm going to accept that these wires are still connected to the battery. I've put some different ends on because I didn't have a matching one to the other. So what we have is, oh, did I do this wrong? Oh, that's fine. Whoops. I try to keep the ends on the right end. On the 12-volt model, I accidentally put the male one where the battery power would be from the car, but it'll be fine. And so then with this rat nest of stuff, I got the 200 volt on the XT90, the 12 volt on the XT60. So I'm going to plug it in. Let's test the fan first. Spin it the right way. It's pulling air out of the battery pack. Is that what it's supposed to do? Exhausting something makes sense. I'm going to go ahead and turn the battery on. Actually, okay. I'm just going to plug all this stuff back in because I don't know what this module is. It's probably like some sort of battery management thing, or who knows. So I'm just going to plug it in. We're going to see what we got. I'm going to turn this on, and then I'm going to apply power from the thing. Let me grab a voltmeter and we'll see what's happening. And the voltage is slowly rising. So we're at 5 volts. It instantly jumped to like 50, and then it's climbing slowly. Okay, I have made a little discharge dongle. So it's the XT90 that'll plug into the battery pack, and then it's the other end of that extension cord I cut off. And what it's going to do is, the old incandescent light bulb to discharge the battery as you try to balance it. Let's do my heat shrink real quick. But everything I've built has been, but besides the temporary stuff, has been heat shrinked, or soldered and heat shrinked. So trying to be safe and semi-legit about it. There's my discharge dongle for later. Alright, it hasn't been all that long, maybe 30-40 minutes, but around the time this got to 110 volts, it dramatically slowed down. I think we're starting to get to the point where we're actually trickle charging this battery pack. So I could see this thing taking 24 hours to charge. So far, this seems like a good sign. I'm feeling, hopeful. I guess the real test will just see what happens after it's charged. So here's a morning update. I guess it's been charging maybe 14 hours, 157.5. So that's where it was early this morning at 7 a.m. This receipt says it replaced the eBay module, and they call it a hybrid control module and battery packs. And so I wasn't sure what a hybrid control module was, but I assumed they were talking about this because it said new on it, right? And so when I look up that part number, what it is it's a battery electronic control unit for a 2002 to 2004 Honda Insight. And this is a 2000 Insight. So maybe that explains the rat nest. Maybe they had to change something to make it work in this car. But then I googled the other thing, see what it was. And it's the motor electronic control unit, and it's from a 2004 Insight. And again, this is a 2000 Insight. So I don't know. It opens up some more questions. Are they compatible? Can you just swap them out like that? I'm gonna have to Google and do some research, because they sent this back to Phil, who I bought it from. He said he could tell within an hour that nothing was fixed. so there's that. Okay, so there's a a switch over here. This is where the plot thickens a bit. Little up and down switch, aftermarket switch, and I was trying to figure out what this is for, and it turns out that a lot of guys put these in. It's a clutch switch. It's where you can trick the car into thinking the clutch is depressed, and then what Insight Central says it does is the clutch switch disables assistance in all situations. However, it does not disable regen in all situations, blah 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 blah. The switch off will disable the 12-volt charging system. There's a thread called Charging the 12-volt Battery with No IMA that discusses how it works and offers some suggestions. So anyways, the symptoms that this car was having was it was not charging the 12-volt battery. All those modules have been replaced because the hybrid system wasn't working. So what if all the repair stuff, all the rat nest, all the swapping of modules was because of the clutch switch? I mean, this is a really old thread. This thread's from 2008. And this car went into the shop in 2016 or 2017. So, I mean, whoever was working on this car, they didn't even make it as far as Insight Central, maybe? Like, all the answers are there. People have been figuring this stuff out forever. Like, what if this was the culprit? You know, because like you know, Phil, he got this car from Dennis, and he wasn't, you know, Dennis had died, and so he wasn't there to tell him what this does or what the grid charger does. And so Phil took it to the shop, and he said, "Hey, fix this," you know, and they fixed it. They got him, you know, registered. They got the lights off and registered, but they left it a total mess back there. So they didn't fix anything. They probably just made everything worse. Like if Phil had just known how the grid charger works, what the switch does, he might have been driving it this whole time. I don't know. I don't know what state the battery pack was in, but they did a whole lot of work and then left it a mess. And I don't know. I don't know enough right now. I'm gonna have to reverse engineer all this, but yep. But the reality is, I just need to let this charge and then hop in, see if what systems work and don't work before I start jumping to too many conclusions. All right, so still trying to figure this out. You know, a couple more hours have passed. Let's see, battery pack is doing 157 or even lower. But it's sort of like holding at 157. Maybe a discharge and charge again will bring that up. Some people have had success with that online. But now for this mess. It might not be the mess that I thought it would be. So it turns out what all these are for, these are the thermistor wires. These are for the temperature of the battery packs and whatnot. And what they've done here, they've taken all the grounds for the thermistors and they've combined them all into one versus having them individually go into the unit. I don't know if that's normal or what, but this right here, what are they calling it? The PTC temperature versus resistance charts on whatever. So anyways, apparently, you know, it's basically thermometers, right? So they see how hot the batteries are getting, and then they'll turn them off once they exceed like 170 something degrees. So what people do is they bypass that whole system with a 20 ohm resistor into these red and black wires. So I could just slap a resistor in there, and then all this rat nest doesn't matter anymore. And you know, if there's a problem, but yeah, I don't know. And then as far as these modules go, it looks like it's the replacement for, you know, some sort of factory recall or update or something because of whatever reason. But you know, the original modules that came in the 2000, they're discontinued and they've been what's the word, surpassed by, or replacement parts by different part numbers. So I think these part numbers work out. So maybe things good to go. So the voltages haven't changed since, you know, 7 a.m. They're just stuck right at like the 157.8, 158 volts. So I'm going to go ahead and do a discharge cycle because we've made no progress. So I just got it hanging from the door, or the hatch, whatever, and doing its thing. I guess I can also monitor the voltage. I got it plugged in to the dongle, and it's dropping at a pretty rapid pace there. So I don't know how far to drop it. A lot of people totally deplete the batteries. They dead flat, and some people say they just drop it to 120 and charge again. I don't know. I'm gonna Google. I'm gonna get back on Insight Central, see what they suggest. All right, so we are a whole lot of hours into the discharge cycle. Light bulb's getting dim, but the lower the voltage goes, the longer it takes. So I saw some people saying they get some pretty rapid discharge results with a 250 watt heat lamp. Yeah, I couldn't find one of those, but I found a 150 watt bulb. I'm gonna swap this out real quick. All right, so there's 150 there. Let's see if I can get this one going too. Speed this up a bit. All right, this one's pretty dim. Oh yeah, that's sucking her down a little better. It's already down to 40 volts. I'm gonna set this one outside the car. All right, so it's 11:30 at night. This meter just started dropping rapidly. It's going quick, so it's gonna be over pretty soon. All right, here we are on the second charge cycle, 59. So it is charging. I am at 163.1 volts. Granted, the charger's on, so whatever it's going to settle to might be different. But so, anyways, what I'm going to do now, since we didn't make it to that 175 volt threshold, is I'm just going to unplug it, let it rest. I woke up and checked the pack voltage, see where it settled to, and then thought, oh shit. So let's see where we're at. I'm gonna do this without shorting anything out. We're at 119.6 volts. An hour ago we're at 120. So it's just like, I don't know. It's just going down from charge. Just gonna plug it in again, see what happens. Anyway, as it's charging, it started doing some weird stuff. It'd go up, 3 or 4 volts, drop 3 or 4 volts, go up 3 volts, drop 2 volts, go up a few more, and it's just slowly building. So I either totally screwed up the battery pack, or I did something incredible to it, or it's going to make no difference at all. But so far, the general trend is each time I cycle it, it takes longer to charge and longer to discharge. But it still has nowhere near the capacity that it would need to run. So, I'm pretty sure I got a lot of dead cells in there. This battery pack sounded like it'd been toast for years before it was parked. All right, so we're nowhere near the 24-hour mark on this third charge, but I just sort of decided that this is not going to work. I'm sure I've discharged and charged some of the cells and maybe, shortened the lifespan of some and extended the capacity of others or whatever. So anyways, I'm going to call it quits on this method, and I'm going to remove the battery pack and actually check voltages of different sticks. And I'll be following the Bumblebee battery directions, because their YouTube video seems to be the most complete and well done how-to video on this. I'm going to start with removing the negative from the 12 volt battery. And then to get to the back bolts of this battery, you have to take this little, thing off. And to get this off, you start with the plastic trim. Let's see how easy this really is. They make it look real easy. It just pops up. Okay. I guess it does. Nice, and it survived. All the clips are here. So far, so good. Old Bumblebee's doing me right. I guess I lost one of the clips back there. Oh, it's not even there. One of the clips is just straight up missing from previous incursions into the vehicle's private parts. All right, so that went quite well. So let's just roll back the carpet and we'll take out some of these things. Oh. We got some more 10mm bolts
They're all labeled as well, so that's cool. Let's pull up. Let's see. Oh, turns out I didn't need to take off the cargo straps from it. I'm gonna go ahead and put those back on since it doesn't matter. All right, one thing I'm gonna make note of is these little dummy pieces of plastic are where speakers go. So that's a pretty easy upgrade for the stereo. I like that. All right, so next thing it wants is to loosen the duct so we can pull it out of the way later. So that'll give us access. Oh yeah, they'll give us access to the other back bolt of the battery. Bumblebee wants us to make sure we're not going to kill ourselves with the battery off and the 12 volt disconnected. We shouldn't see hardly anything from here. We're at 1/100th of a volt, so cool. Disconnect these terminals. Ooh, you know, I have never gotten voltage out of these, even with the battery on and the charger on. It says these are the main terminals. I have not seen anything more than maybe 11 volts through here. And then these bars, I'm just going to be putting these back where they go so I don't have to keep up with too much. All right, next thing we're going to do is the ground wire. The grounding strap loose. And then to unplug this, it says we have to release it from its holder. Okay. And then we squeeze the thing and it pops off. Cool. Okay, so in their video, they have suggestions for an order for unplugging things. And it's basically, you start with the fan, and then you do this one. I might be screwing up the order. And then you unplug these three over here. And this one they said is tricky enough that you might have to hold it with two hands. And then you unplug this one. Or this one. Yeah. Then this one. I don't know, I might be getting the order wrong. And this one you don't have to remove it all the way, you just can get it out of the way. And so next, unbolt the 8 bolts that hold the computer down and fold it out of the way. So I guess we're ready to fold these out of the way now. Stick it somewhere. We switch to a 12 millimeter and we tackle the bolt on each corner. Alright, so it calls this and this and this a handle. And so, you know, I also had to get this out of the way. So I think I have a spot in my table. I guess we'll just see if I can lift it. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, easy. Alright, I got the battery out. It's really not that heavy. It weighs less than a child. But look where the grid charger was hooked up at. That's not the standard place. Most people connect it here. You know, I don't really know the difference because I think technically that is the positive terminal of the battery under the rubber boot. So it works, right? But that's sort of atypical compared to where most people do it. Maybe most people put it here because that's just easier to get to. Yeah, okay, I'm sort of seeing how it works. So what it looks like is, at some point, this solenoid clicks on and off. And it's controlled by the relays in the computer or something. And so then that activates this circuit and that brings this to life. And so the reason why I wouldn't get any voltage off of this is probably because the computer didn't like what it was seeing in the battery pack, so it just wouldn't even turn it on. It was keeping it off. So I don't really know how to take this apart. I haven't found a video I haven't watched a video on this. So I'm just gonna wing it, I guess. These are quite tight. I think they're moving. Are they moving? Doesn't really feel like they're moving. Feels like something's sliding around in there. Oh no. Alright, this one will come off. We'll just have to see. So what do you do if you can't get these out? This is just another sign that I'm not all that impressed with the work that this car had done to it. Everything was put back together with a impact driver. Alright, so I'm just gonna try disconnecting it from the battery like this, and then seeing if I can flip it up and pull it out through the little stud holes or bolt holes or whatever. This one moves quite easily, see? But on this side it doesn't want to act that way. Okay, if I spin it while I pry it up, it's willing to move. Man, what a shame that those are stripped out. So I'm just going to lift while I spin, try to get those free. Okay, cool. So that's what this side looks like. And then we're to the inside. I'm gonna get some baggies and start organizing this stuff. It doesn't go in real well. Oh yeah, all these are like stripped out and corroded. Ugh. I wonder where this thing was sitting. I don't know, the insides are kind of notoriously leaky, so it wouldn't be unheard of for it to get a little bit damp in there. Look at these screws. See, 5 of them are factory screws, and the other one's just a sheet metal screw shoved in there because it got lost. I mean, this battery pack has been through some bullshit, I guess. All right, how's this come off? Let's lift that and slide it out. Okay, so we have access to both sides of the batteries. I guess we could just run through some voltage testing real quick. So I'm just going to keep one probe on one side, another probe on the other side, and just run through these real quick. So some of these voltages will be positive, some of them will be negative. So 8.65. Okay, interesting. Let's see what number 2 is. 8.61. 3. That's like not even getting a charge. That's a dead stick. 8.6. So if I've been overcharging this, 8.6, 8.4, 8.6, and we're going up to the next row. That looks like a dead stick. That looks like a dead stick. That 3 dead sticks already. 8.45, 8.63, 7.12, 8.46, 8.63. Okay, you get the idea. We're just gonna keep going through. 8.6. That's number 5 stick that hadn't charged. Jesus. This one is at 1 volt. So number 6 stick that hadn't charged. 7 sticks that hadn't charged. 8.62. 8 sticks that haven't charged at all. Oh my god. 8 sticks that hasn't charged at all. I was looking at eBay at stick prices. They're like 25 bucks a stick to get them. Used. Not fit for, refurbishing purposes, but maybe enough for the DIYer to scoot by. Some of them are $30 after shipping. Hey, that's a lot. Anyway, that's a lot of money. A few $100 on some dubious eBay sticks. Just do whatever. So I think what we need to do is just try charging a dead one directly, see if it'll do anything. That's a lot of damn bad sticks. The videos of people rebuilding these online, they take the packs out of something that just got an IMA light, and the owner's responsible and is willing to pay $500, $600, $700 to have the pack refurbished, right? Or buy a refurbished pack and send theirs in as a core. So they find one stick or maybe 2 sticks that are self-discharging a little bit fast and maybe voltage dropping under load a bit too fast, and they replace those. But these are like totally fucked. So that explains the voltage.
if you have 8 sticks that aren't registering any voltage, that's kind of a big deal. You know, before I take it all apart, I just want to show what it looks like right now. So see how the PCM connector things are all mangled from a power drill. And then not only that, but you know, evidence of more missing parts. How that one's a sheet metal screw versus that one being a screw head. I'm not real sure which ones are positive and negative, mostly due to the fact that when I put my voltmeter on it, the ones that are dead are showing positive right next to others that are charged that are positive. So might have had some polarity reversal at some point. I could have done it. It could have happened from just being completely dead. So I just want to, you know, be able to actually see the square end and the hexagonal end of these to just make sure everything's right. Alright, I think I'm down to my last one. Alright, so I got all the screws out first, then all the bolts out second. And then now it says we should pry these up with something so we can remove this without risking total destruction. A little hard to get underneath these things. But there's one. Did they pry out? Oh yeah. All right. So no. Yeah, some of them are reverse polarity. Okay. Alright, so look at this board. The pattern is, you know, hex, square, hex, square, hex, square, square, hex, square. You know, they alternate all the way through. Look at these. Look at these batteries. So we have hex, 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 square, hex, hex, square, hex, square, hex, square, square, hex, hex, square, hex, square, 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 hex. I mean, it was put together wrong. No wonder it didn't fucking work. Wonder how they got the state inspection. Wonder if they faked it. Okay, well that explains a whole fucking lot. What if these packs are still good if they've been charged backwards or whatever? Interesting. That is really interesting. Alright, so that means that I need to take this side apart too. Well, I probably need to do that anyways. But maybe there's hope. Maybe the ones that are not charged are actually halfway decent cells. They're just in backwards. This is hilarious. I mean, like the kid who worked on this, he didn't know his fucking ass from a hole in the ground. Like everything's too fucking tight and too rushed, and there's bolts mixed up where they're not supposed to be. Long ones where short ones go, short ones where long one goes, and even the batteries are backwards. Like, oh my god! I mean, what is going on? This is incredible. This is fucking incredible. Okay, another frustration caused by this fucking mechanic. Don't know his ass from a hole in the ground. Look, every single one of these is either over tightened or stripped out, and you can't get them out. They just spin. This one, you know, they're wobbling. Like, what the hell, man? This guy shouldn't even be around cars. I bet he's not at Tommy's High Tech anymore. He's been fired long ago for being a moron. We always try to give the benefit of the doubt. Oh, they'll get better. They're young. They're just out of school. They're well-intentioned. But no, they don't. They're always the fucking spaz that breaks everything. Okay, so I haven't been able to get these screws out from the other side. So I'm just going to try pulling these out. I don't know which one of these have thermistors, so I'm not going to yank too hard, okay? But I don't really see how you could put one with a thermistor in the wrong way. Let's see. Will this one come? Okay. Okay. So I put bolts in them to mark them. I think I counted 7 dead ones. I might have miscounted, but there's 8 dead ones, but I only have, what, 1,
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of these that are in backwards. So I might still need a pack of cells or something. I just don't know how to get that back board off. And once these are the right way, maybe they'll charge up. That's wishful thinking. I know. On the cells that have a charge, the square end is the positive. So let's pull this guy out. I'm going to use my voltmeter real quick and just see what the voltage is. It's 0.6 volts. So I don't have like a good charger just yet, but I have a power supply. Let's just plug in real quick. Let's crank those amps up a little. I mean, that looks like it's accepting current to me. I'm not going to slam it just yet, but you know, that's something. Oh my God, my neighbor's yelling at his dog. He says his dog is an idiot. Come on. And a dumbass. The last one that wouldn't take a charge is now taking a charge. You know, of those 7, I think it was 4 of them maybe had polarity reversal in a cell or something, because they just wouldn't take a charge. After fully discharging, they all are accepting a charge quite readily, so that's good news. They still didn't tell us anything about capacity. That's a later thing. Since some of the cells went in there backwards, can you see the damage to the plastic? How the plastic's kind of been mushed down from the square peg going into the hexagonal peg, right? So if it did it to this side, it did it to the other side. So I mean, it'll be easy enough to clean up with a razor blade or something. Just cut that plastic back so you can get good contact on these plates. The problem is, of course, that all 4 of these screws that hold this plate on were over tightened, and it just free spins. Experimenting with how tight these things get once they're over tightened with the impact. See, it didn't crush the plastic, but it anyways, here's a small pipe wrench. I'm gonna just see if that'll get a bite or not. Alright, so that wasn't all that bad. Okay, so these will never be the same now that they've come loose, but alright, so that's down in there nice and flush. You know, I can put these in fairly, you know, I think I can get them down far enough. So we'll give that a maybe. Okay, here's the idea. I'm going to try to drill in and find the little brass piece and just sort of sink it in there just a bit. Oh yeah, it wants to break the drill bit. All right, we got a bite. Let me back that off and get something stronger than a drill bit in there. Oops. Broke a drill bit. Okay, so you can totally find those. Alright, so I'm starting to get a little bit desperate here. So let's see about a drop of oil and just drilling these bolts out. I don't even know if that's something I can do. It's gonna get hot. Whoops. I am melting plastic. Better cool it for a bit. Alright, so I didn't get it drilled out, but I sure did get it loose somehow. I guess it just melted its own way out. That's one way to do it. What does that mean? Does that mean that I could... What if you can just make it hot just by spinning it? Uh-oh. Look at that. I melted it free. That's what you do. Alright, got it. See what we can do here. Okay. Nice. Alright, so I just pulled this one out, and look at this. I did manage to just nail it perfect on my second hole attempt, right in the center, but it just wasn't enough to allow me to break it loose. I'm just gonna push down and drag. Look at that. Oops, and it cuts it right off. Going through and testing all the cells, I found 5 that are definitely bad, where there's like, you know, dead shorts and various problems. And I've removed those from the testing cycle. All these seem to be in perfect working order, and they're seem to have a lot of capacity. I haven't done a capacity test, but now I've moved on to the batteries that have the thermistors. And this one felt weird because, you know, the thermistor is supposed to have like an end on it, right? And then this one was, you know, shoved down into the battery like that, and there's no end on it. So there's, you know, one thermistor down. So I'm just gonna, you know, all these have been, something weird happened to them, so I'm just gonna open them all up and just see what's going on. This whole stick, it just acts weird, and when it sits, this battery collapses down. That's the criteria I'm using, is just things that are like out of the ordinary to deem a cell beyond repair. That's why I bought, you know, 20 untested used cells from Bumblebee to replace sticks like this. I don't like how they work. And with that tiny little amount of charge, it's already above ambient temperature. And when you put a stick like this on to charge, you know, full charge for, bring it up to where it, you know, the automatic charger turns itself off, it's like, it's dangerous hot, you know. It's like, oh yeah, it's destroying itself kind of hot.
All right, so here's where we are. I have reassembled this pack and I put all the cells in the right way. You know, I found, I think, 14 that are good. Maybe. The deal is, I don't really think I should reuse any of the cells that were in there backwards, because when I was grid charging this in the car, you remember I was getting it up to 163 volts. So it had discharged over the 5 years of sitting, and I slammed those sticks that were installed backwards with reverse polarity 3 different charge cycles on the grid charger. So I mean, the things that cause damage to a battery, they say, is like uncontrolled heat damage, reverse polarity, and, you know, physical damage from like dropping it or smashing a cell or something. And so it got I don't know, I'm pretty sure that I hurt the batteries that were installed backwards, because I just never assumed there'd be, you know, sticks in this pack installed backwards. Although I suspected it was a possibility from the very first bolt that I removed from the car, just because it was so tight. I mean, mechanics who do work like that, where they just over tighten everything, you know, they're problematic. You get a sense for that stuff, and sometimes you get into a project and you know you're in for a ride. But anyways, I'm just gonna cycle these a few times. I got a lot of days before my new untested used batteries come in, so I'm gonna cycle these a few times and then do some capacity testing. But that's the end of this video. When my Bumblebee batteries come in, my used ones from them, that'll be part 3. So thank you so much for watching. Hope this was fun for somebody, and you know, y'all be good. Bye.